Hey everyone, welcome to the third video in this series, and in this one we're going to be talking about how to spell words from Greek. There are 13,537 Greek words in the dictionary, Merriam-Webster's Third New International Unabridged Dictionary, and it's said that combined with Latin, which I talked about in the previous video, around 6 out of every 10 words in English are derived from originally either Greek or Latin. So with that, what are some things that you might encounter when you're thinking of Greece? Back in the original summer workshop, these are a couple pictures I used to describe it. That's a map of Greece. You have the sort of geographical information there. You might know about famous Greek architecture. I have one example here, the Parthenon. It's an ancient temple dedicated to Greek goddess Athena. And you have other Greek scenery here. The seaside, amazing architecture. But what we're really interested in is the words, and how the English words that are Greek derived are actually spelled. So Greek is interesting. Pretty much a majority of the words can be traced back to some sort of root element. Remember the prefixes, suffixes, and combining forms that I talked about previously? So when you take a look at a word like echinodermata, it means broadly the spiny-skinned animals, specifically marine invertebrates that have spiny skin. That comes from 3 parts. Echino, which means spiny, derm, which means skin, and ada, which means genus. In the same way, the word arthropoda means animals with jointed feet, from arthro, meaning joint, and pod, meaning foot. That applies to all of these here. These are all scientific, you might notice, and specifically they're all genus names. Archaeopteryx is a type of ancient winged animal, sort of like a beast. I'll show you a picture of it in a second. Amphioxus means double-pointed, and it's a kind of marine animal that looks almost like a fish, but it's slightly different. But it has 2 pointy ends, which is why it's called an amphioxus. And Homo erectus, the upright man in archaeological and historical senses. So here's an example of echinodermata. The hedgehog on the left isn't really a true member of echinodermata, it's just really cute. But on the right side, the starfish over here is a member of the echinodermata, a spiny-skinned marine animal. And here's a picture of the Archaeopteryx, an ancient winged creature. It looks kind of like it's about to attack you. Yeah, pictures. And over here you have the Amphioxus. You can take a look at this and see that both ends are sort of pointed. That's why this animal is also known as a lancelet, because of its resemblance to lances, you know, the medieval pointy weapon. So now that you've seen some examples of the roots, what are some other patterns that you could use to spell the letters and figure out what's happening inside of the roots? Something that you'll see pretty commonly in Greek is the use of the connective vowel O. That often happens in between 2 other prefixes and suffixes or other combining forms, like the words dactyloscopy, identification by comparison of fingerprints. Scopy means examining or observation. You might know of other words that have the root scope in them, like telescope. Tele means far, so a telescope would allow you to observe something that's far away. And dactyl means fingers, so you're basically examining fingers. Myelocyte means a bone marrow cell. Myel means marrow, and cyte is cell. That's why you have other words that mean different types of cells, and they're all going to have cyte at the end, like oocyte and egg cell. And then words like actinophorus, having ray-like spines. Actin means broadly having a radiated structure, and phorus is the Greek root for bearing or having. Here's an example of something actinophorus on the left. This is a sea urchin right here with a radiated structure, and it has those rays. You have an actinomorphic flower there, where all the petals are arranged in that ray-like structure. Insert diagram of dactyloscopy, fingerprints that you could examine in forensics or something else. For some other letters, here I have the f sound. In Greek, you're likely to find that being spelled with a ph. Something like amphibian or telegraph, has a ph in the middle. The same thing applies for a word like heliophyte, plants thriving in full sunlight. The word heliophyte comes from two roots, helios meaning sun, and phyte meaning plant. Then you have triskaidekaphobia. Tris means 3, kai means end, and deca is 10. Triskaidekaphobia is fear of the number 13. You also have the k sound. You might remember from Latin that there were many different ways to spell the k sound. Here in Greek, there's the additional option of a k in words like kairos, the opportune and decisive moment, and kakidrosis, secretion of sweat of disagreeable odor. But you also have the c in words like calisthenics, systematic rhythmic exercises, something that can build agility or flexibility, or cacoepy, bad pronunciation. And then occasionally you have a ch in words like ichthyosaur, it's a type of ancient marine reptile, dinosaur essentially, or ecard, soil water that's unavailable to plants. Just to help you visualize a bit, here are pictures of calisthenics, this person you're stretching, or doing crunches, and triskaidekaphobia on the right, where you have a cartoon person running away from a somewhat terrifying 13. Now, remember when I mentioned heliophyte was a plant from the root phyte? Here's some of the roots that you might find helpful. These are a bunch of words that all have the root phyte in them. So, a heliophyte is a plant that thrives in sunlight. Halophyte is a plant that grows in salty soil. Halo, like halogens, halo is salty. A helophyte, on the other hand, is a plant that grows in marshes or bogs. That one has an E instead of an A. A hydrophyte, hydro means water, hydroponics, other words with hydro. So a hydrophyte is a plant that grows in water. A hygrophyte is something that grows in abundant moisture. Hygro means moisture. For example, the device that tells you how much humidity there is in the air is called a hygrometer. A lithophyte is a plant that grows on rock. So lith means stone. So, like before, here are some words that you can practice. You can play along with this video, pause it before I show you the way it's spelled, so you can do a little bit of practice and sort of see if you can spell the words on your own. The first word is heliocentric, having the sun as the center, as of planetary orbits. Heliocentric is spelled, that's backwards, with an H-E-L-I-O-C-E-N-T-R-I-C. Halobacterium is a genus of bacteria that live in saline pools. That is spelled like this. So you have the root halo, which means saline, and then bacterium, which is just a bacterium. Halobius means living in marshy places. From the root halo, meaning marshy or bog, and then bias, the organism living there. A hygrometer, like I mentioned, is the instrument that measures humidity for you. And that one's spelled like this. And then lithography is the process of inscribing on stone. And that one's spelled like this. And you saw Syamantak at the beginning. More roots. The root phobia means fear of. This is probably a root you're already familiar with, but here are a couple common fears. Arachnophobia is a fear of spiders. Arachno is the root for spider, like the family arachnids. Myrmicophobic means having a fear of ants. Myrmico means ant. Ergophobia is a fear of or aversion to work, from erg, meaning work, and erg is also a unit of work, but that's slightly different. Taphophobia means a fear of being buried alive. Thanatophobia is a fear of death. And xenophobia is a fear and hatred of foreigners or strange things. It's time for some more practice. Elephine, related to or resembling the red deer. That one is spelled with a PH here. Oophagus, living or feeding on eggs, used of insects or reptiles. Oophagus is spelled like that. So the OO means egg, just like an oocyte as I mentioned before, and phagus means eating. Catastrophe, the final event of a dramatic action, a violent, destructive, natural event. Catastrophe is spelled like this. The K sound has a C, and then the F sound over here has a PH. Pachyderm, an animal that has thick skin, like an elephant or a rhinoceros. Pachyderm is spelled like that. Basilisk, a legendary reptile often believed to have fatal breath. There you go. The K sound in a basilisk is spelled with a K. Skeuomorph, an ornament or a design representing a utensil. Skeuomorph is spelled like this. The root skeuo means vessel, and morph means form. So basically something that has taken the form of a utensil. Fiocrus, this is a bit of a challenging word. This one means dark and gloomy. And it's spelled like this. So the root phio means having a dull color. Cro, like chroma, means colored. And us is the Greek adjective suffix. And you have schizophrenia, a psychotic disorder. Schizophrenia is spelled like this. It comes from the root schizo, meaning split, and then phrenia, a mental disorder, from the root phren, meaning mind. To help you visualize some of these, elephine resembling the red deer, you have a red deer on the left here. A pachyderm is a really cute baby elephant with a basilisk on the right side. And a couple more consonants here. The sound of R can be spelled a variety of ways, mostly different in the addition of more R's and more H's. Sometimes it's usually simple, like chrysochloris, having a color of golden green. Chryso means golden, and chlor means green, like in chlorine, or chlorophyll. Paroxysm means a sudden attack or outburst. Then you have words with roots that have an RH, like rhinoplasty, plastic surgery of the nose, where rhino means nose. A rheometer is the instrument for measuring the flow of viscous substances. Rheo means flow, and meter means measuring device. And then you have words like antidiarrheal, tending to prevent a stomach disorder, or cirrhosis, a liver disease. Those have RRHs. And then you have the Z sound in Greek. It can be an X or a Z, depending on what Greek letter it comes from. So words like xanthic, relating to a yellow color, and Xiphias, a genus of swordfish, those have X's. Whereas words like zetetic, proceeding from inquiry, or zither, a musical instrument, both have Z's. So there's an example of a zither on the left, this musical instrument. You have a Xiphias, which is a swordfish, and you have xanthic leaves, which are yellowish. Let's try these words. Paraphrasable, capable of being restated in another form for clearer and fuller meaning. That one's spelled like this. A labyrinth is a maze or something complex or perplexing. Rhododendron, widely cultivated shrubs and trees with showy flowers. Rhomboid, resembling a particular geometric shape. Ticaride, a woolly rhinoceros, an extinct two-horned rhinoceros that used to be in the Arctic regions of Europe and Asia. Myrrh, a reddish-brown aromatic resin used before as incense. Xenophobic, relating to a fear of strangers or foreigners. Zoetic, relating to life, vital. So, a couple pictures of these. A labyrinth is this maze on the left. There are various mythological labyrinths and literal labyrinths, like this one. This is a picture of a rhododendron. It's a flower. And this is a rhombus. Its shape can be described as being rhomboid, having the form of a rhombus. A couple more patterns here. The J sound in Greek is almost always spelled with a G. For example, you have the Aegean Sea in Greece, the arm of the Mediterranean Sea, it's right there. That has a G. Hegemony, world dominance, also has a G. The E sound, E, is almost always going to be a letter E. Calliope is the Greek muse of poetry. Systole is a contraction of the heart that forces the blood outwards. And then the I sound and the I sound, the short I, both are usually spelled with a Y in Greek. Psychiatry, cryogen, tachycardia, oxygenation, all of those use Y's for that sound. So here's a map of where the Aegean Sea is, and then a diagram of the two phases of the heartbeat. You have diastole, where the heart is filling with blood, and systole, where it's pumping out the blood. A little bit more practice here. Angioplasty, the surgical repair of a blood vessel. Hydrangea, a large genus of shrubs with large, showy flowers. Isosceles, a triangle with two equal sides. Epitome, an ideal representation or ideal expression. An acolyte is one who attends or assists, a follower. Acolyte. Hyetology is a branch of meteorology that deals with rain or snow. That one comes from the root hyet, meaning rain. A hyetometer is a rain gauge. Synoptophore, an instrument for diagnosing an imbalance of the eye muscles. Synoptophore. And a syringe, a device to inject fluids into or withdraw them from something. That's that. And here are a couple pictures of them. Hydrangeas you may have seen, they're over here, this flower. An isosceles triangle has two sides that are equal in length, the third one can be different. And a syringe, the stuff they use at the doctor's office to inject medicine. So, that's the end of the third video here in the series. This one was Greek. Stay tuned for the next one. I'm excited to meet you there.